climbing into the close with the Dow turning positive in the last few minutes. The Nasdaq, though, still under selling pressure, down more than 2%. Steph, we're obviously seeing a little bit of discernment here in terms of what investors are willing to buy the dip in. A little more downside follow through for the Nasdaq. Other things finding traction. We still haven't had that down 20% close. How do you read it in terms of today and how we're absorbing these new growth fears?
It tells me how much technology and comm services are still over-owned, Mike, right? Because they're the ones that are getting hit the hardest, and for good reason. Snap was really a big surprise for just about everybody. But look, I think that we're in just really challenging times. I've been saying, like, we're going to be in a choppy environment all year long, right? Because there's so many unknowns. We've talked about them: Fed, inflation, war, China, etc. The reactions that we're getting, though, are so extreme. If any company misses, it's really just mind-boggling. But there are a lot of moving parts, as I mentioned, a lot of unknowns. There's chatter about recession, which I think are very premature. What I'm looking at is the last 2 weeks, what did we learn from these companies? What happened in April? What happened in April is the consumer changed their behavior from goods to services. We had two big box retailers, Walmart and Target, double and triple order back in December of the wrong stuff. So there's tons of inventory, and that's why it was such a big surprise, because these are really well-run companies. But we also learned that inflation and higher interest rates are hurting not only the consumer, but these companies too. They weren't prepared. All of this wrapped up, April also showed us that the economy is still on solid footing, Mike. I heard you and Nancy Tengler talking about the GDP report. I totally agree with that. Inside the GDP report, services was up 4.3%. But we also had good retail sales numbers. They grew 8.2%. Industrial production rose 6.4%. Capacity utilization was up. So to me, the economy is still solid. Is it slowing? Yes, it absolutely is slowing. But that was the premise that we talked about back in January. We knew 2022 was going to be a slower growth year. I still think it's growth, though. Maybe it's 2%, but I still think it's growth. At the same time, I still think inflation is going to stay high as well. So these are the challenges that the market's going through.
Yeah, these are expected trends, but obviously maybe sometimes painful to build them into the market.